I'm an honest man. I married Willow, a woman who became my wife by being a mistress and taking someone else's place, because of that. To prevent others from following the same path she once took. She frequently conducts surprise inspections of my phone. When I go out, she demands that I report my whereabouts at all times. If I don't reply to messages for an hour, she orders me to send a video call. She even makes me take off my clothes every night for a full body inspection. I couldn't stand her nearly pathological need for control anymore. So I secretly messaged my ex-wife abroad, saying, "Sophia, the truth is I've never forgotten you all these years." Unexpectedly, my ex-wife, who has always been prone to cheating, replied, "George, the truth is I gave birth to 2 sons for you over the years. Are you willing to happily become their father?" I replied, "Unsubscribe." Chapter 1. Willow is my second wife. She's 10 years younger than me, so emotionally she can be a bit immature and obsessive. She demands absolute transparency from me, inside and out. My phone isn't allowed to have a password so she can check it whenever she wants. At the beginning, I was bewitched by her young, pretty face. Whatever she said went, but little by little, her control over me kept expanding. On the big end, if I go out to meet someone and it's a woman, she'll ask how old she is, whether she's pretty, and whether she has a better figure than hers. On the small end, she checks my spending history and shopping receipts. Whenever I go out, I have to report my whereabouts in real time. She even checks my homework every night. If I slack off even a little, she starts imagining things and suspecting everything. I got angry and asked if she didn't trust me. She argued back, then burst into tears, saying she was afraid there were too many temptations out there, that I wouldn't be able to resist them all, and that I might accidentally fall for some scheming seductress. So in her eyes, am I really the type who falls in love with every woman I meet? Am I really that weak to temptation? I don't understand why she's like this, but there was no choice. I could only spend more time giving her a sense of security, trying to ease her constant anxiety and fear of loss. That day was our first wedding anniversary. Because I served food to my son first, Willow got mad again. When she's angry, she doesn't give me the cold shoulder, and she doesn't throw a tantrum. She just keeps feeding me goji berries and grilled oysters. After all, we had sex before we had love, so I know her extremely well. Sweet talk alone won't calm her down, only actions will. All the way until dawn, the two of us soaked in the bathtub. One of us was still catching his breath, while the other had already sobered up and started interrogating. She traced circles on my chest with her finger and said, "Do you know where you went wrong?" I picked the most pleasant answer and said, "Because I didn't kiss you first when I got home." Willow said I was wrong. She said, "Because this afternoon I heard that girl calling you Geo, Big Brother, over and over again, so sickeningly sweet, and you even smiled at her." I tried hard to recall it. Eventually, I remembered who she was talking about. I was speechless. I said, "That's just my teacher's daughter. She came to ask me a question. She's only 17. You're really overthinking this." Willow burrowed into my arms, her voice aggrieved. "That still won't do. Don't you remember? When I got together with you back then, I had just turned 18 too. I've been there. I know better than anyone what girls that age are thinking, full of calculations. So many people out there. But she just had to come ask you, as if I'd believe that." Willow, when you're ruthless, you don't even spare your past self. Chapter 2. The year I met her, my ex-wife and I were in the middle of a Cold War. Our marriage was on the brink of collapse. We could divorce at any moment. My former in-laws stormed in demanding answers, listing my so-called faults one by one. They accused me of not handing over financial control, of not putting their daughter's name on the property deed. They said every other man lets his wife manage the money, that a man who mistreats his wife will never prosper, and that their daughter had suffered by marrying me. They even speculated that I must be having an affair, that I had an illegitimate child outside, and that I was rushing to divorce so I could push the mistress into the spotlight. I was honestly speechless. Ours had been a family-arranged marriage. We hadn't even met before the wedding. There was practically no emotional foundation at all. After we got married, she wanted to go abroad for further studies. I didn't stop her. I even paid for everything and sent her overseas. I thought it was only a temporary separation, but after she graduated, she insisted on staying abroad to build her career. Meanwhile, I was already running myself ragged back home, and both families were pressuring us about having a child. I said, "What am I supposed to do if she won't come back?" My mother-in-law sent me a video. The gist was that a girl said her parents wouldn't approve of her marrying far away, so her boyfriend decisively gave up his local civil service job and went to take the civil service exam in her city instead. My mother-in-law concluded, "A man needs the ability to solve problems." Between the lines, she was clearly implying that if I were truly capable, I should abandon my domestic career and start over from scratch abroad. For fuck's sake, she made it sound like this mess was somehow my fault. Later, they even said that if they'd known things would turn out this way, they would have chosen to ally with the Ito family instead. They said Ito and my ex-wife had been childhood sweethearts. that he had already proposed back then. But she turned him down, saying she only saw him as a big brother. I had had enough. Mentally and physically exhausted, I flew abroad with a divorce agreement in hand, without even telling my ex-wife. But something went wrong on the way. I got robbed. My money was gone. My phone was gone. Even the clothes I was wearing were stripped off me. They only left me with a pair of lucky red boxer shorts. Unbelievable. I don't speak French, and no matter how much I gestured, the locals couldn't understand me. At rock bottom, I ran into Willow. She was still a college student, her youthful face filled with the innocence and kindness of someone untouched by the harshness of the world. She helped translate for me, lent me her phone, and even gave me money to buy clothes. She noticed that I was in a bad mood, and even though she was on vacation, she took the initiative to ask whether I wanted to join them. Just 3 days hanging out with a young girl, and my state visibly improved. I even forgot why I had come there in the first place, until my ex-wife learned about the robbery through people back home and, after many twists and turns, managed to contact me. When she came to see me, Willow thoughtfully avoided us. She said, "Gio, love yourself before loving anyone else. Whatever you do, put yourself first. There are so many women in the world. If you leave this one, there will be thousands, tens of thousands more you could still build something with." That one sentence shattered the calm I had maintained for more than 20 years. Chapter 3. When my ex-wife found out I had come to divorce her, she lost her temper. She complained angrily. "George, you're asking for a divorce. Are you trying to force me to quit my job and go back to being a housewife? But why should I? Why should I sacrifice my own life for you? I'm not your accessory. I hope you can respect my choices." My ex-wife had always been outstanding since she was young. She was a top student in school, and after entering the workforce, she handled everything with ease. But when it came to relationships, she was practically a blank slate. I liked her looks and admired her competence, but maintaining a marriage with her was something I truly struggled with. She, however, refused to divorce. With no other option, the matter could only be dragged on. I stayed abroad for a while. At first, it wasn't like I didn't try to repair our relationship, but she really was busy. More than once, she would be called away by her boss halfway through a date. Eventually, I stopped asking her out altogether. During that time, Willow was constantly there to comfort me. Though she was very young, she was gentle, considerate, and incredibly understanding. She really got me, and everything she said felt soothing to my heart. She said, "Of course women can be independent, but she shouldn't be so cold toward you either. If it were me, I'd never treat my husband like that. She's so beautiful, and she's been abroad for so many years, she must have had plenty of admirers. But I trust Gio's judgment. Sister Sophia must be a good woman. If you ever have something on your mind, Gio, you can talk to me. She doesn't understand you, but I understand you." I talked to her like she was a younger sister. She always called me Gio, big brother, and shared stories about what happened at school. That day, she told me she had a performance and asked if I wanted to go watch her at school. I felt like I should, so I even bought a bouquet of flowers. Willow was very popular at school, half because of her striking looks, and half because of her piano skills. When the piece ended, I went up on stage to present the flowers, but after Willow took them, she suddenly stood on her tiptoes and kissed me on the cheek. I was completely stunned. After she calmed down, she shyly explained that it was just social etiquette in that country. Friends did this all the time. All right, I didn't overthink it. After the performance, I treated Willow and a few of her classmates to dinner. I could barely understand what they were saying, but Willow translated for me. One of the girls next to her said something with a laugh. Willow glanced at me and replied to them with a bright smile. I asked what it meant. Willow lifted her eyes to me, smiled lightly, and said, "They said we look very close." It sounded like the sentence was finished, and yet somehow not. I said, "Of course we are." After that, we went from meeting once a week, to once every 3 days, to every single day. In less than a month, I was spending more time with her than I ever had with my ex-wife. I didn't realize I was already sinking in. I just felt good being with her, happy. I don't know if my ex-wife became aware that she had done something wrong, or if she was talked into it by her parents, but she suddenly started taking the initiative to cater to me. We had more physical contact. We started unlocking new experiences, sometimes even playing around with role-playing. I played the role of a stern, old-fashioned professor, and she was the timid, easily frightened student. Using tutoring as an excuse, I had her stay behind in my office, and then we started doing this and that and this. We both played our parts convincingly. It was thrilling, but not long after, she reverted to that sacred, untouchable, aloof demeanor again. She slept in a separate room and wouldn't let me touch her. Before I even had time to figure out why, my assistant informed me that something had gone wrong at the company. I rushed to buy a plane ticket back home and only managed to send Willow a brief message on my phone. During that period, the company fell into a bankruptcy crisis. I couldn't eat, couldn't sleep, and ended up seriously ill, so ill that I nearly didn't make it. I was hospitalized for half a month. To my surprise, the first person who came to see me wasn't my ex-wife, but Willow. She didn't look well herself. When she saw me, she froze for a moment, then immediately came over to help me sit up properly. Her eyes were full of distress as she said I'd lost a lot of weight, and she cursed my ex-wife for being heartless. My ex-wife said her place abroad had been broken into and all her documents were stolen, so she couldn't come back for the time being. I couldn't be bothered to investigate whether that was true or not. During that time, a housekeeper took care of me during the day, and Willow came by in the evenings. She cooked nutritious meals for me and even went to learn massage therapy. She washed my clothes too and brought them over neatly folded. A month later, my ex-wife finally returned. Her right arm was in a cast, and she looked haggard. She said she'd been in a car accident, and that she hadn't told me because she was afraid I'd worry. But she only stayed with me for 2 days before leaving again, saying her boss was urging her to return. Unexpectedly, she said this would be the last time she ever left me. I felt much better after hearing that. I planned to properly map out our future together once she came back. Willow finished her studies ahead of schedule and even had her father help cover the Wong Group's losses. All right then, another rich one. By now, taking care of me came naturally to her. Sometimes outsiders who didn't know better would misunderstand and say enviously that my wife was really virtuous and capable. Willow got so into the act that she even consulted the nurses on the ward about how to cook. Before my surgery, my ex-wife was kidnapped. I was just about to believe it. When I saw news of her being involved in a scandal with her childhood sweetheart, my blood boiled. My previously stable condition suddenly worsened, and the surgery had to be moved up. At that time, only Willow was by my side. Before I was wheeled into the operating room, I asked her to find someone to draft a divorce agreement for me. When my ex-wife rushed back, I immediately brought up divorce. This time, there was no room for reconciliation. She cried and said everything could be explained, but I couldn't be bothered to listen. There were always countless excuses. During the 6 months I was sick, her life had been anything but dull. Did she really think I was an idiot? After 3 days of stalemate, she finally agreed. What I never expected was that 4 months later, she told me she had given birth to a son for me. After testing, it was confirmed that he was mine. That explained why she'd stirred up rumors with her childhood sweetheart yet still refused to divorce. After that, we began negotiating custody of the child. Just as I expected, she immediately gave the child to me. To be honest, I had no idea how to raise a child, but thankfully, there was Willow. She knew how to do everything, taking care of him meticulously, like his biological mother. I'd actually known what she was thinking all along. It was just that I'd been married at the time, so I didn't dare cross the line. So once the company was back on track, I came clean about this hazy, unspoken relationship and proposed to her. Not long after, we got married. Chapter 4. I decided to have a serious talk with Willow. Her desire to control me had gotten too strong. I even had plans next week to go get a massage with my buddies, heard it was the not-so-regular kind. Of course, I was just going to look. I definitely wouldn't do anything improper. I'm an honest man. Willow was in the study. When she saw me, she hurriedly pressed a book down on something, a flicker of panic flashing in her eyes. She said, "Husband, why are you here?" Willow never talked like that. She usually couldn't wait to cling to me every second of the day. Anytime I took the initiative to do something, she'd immediately post about it online to show off. She'd changed. Realizing she was hiding something from me made me uncomfortable. Damn it, could my second marriage really be ending this early? I remembered that a long time ago, I'd had my fortune told. They said my love life would go through many twists and turns before finding fulfillment, and that in the end I'd fall into a predicament I couldn't escape from. Was this for real? I temporarily set aside my doubts and told her what I was thinking. To my surprise, things went far more smoothly than I'd expected. Willow simply clung to my arm. Her gaze lingered for a moment on my bare ring finger, and she said in a subdued tone, "I'm sorry, I went too far. I was just afraid you'd get tired of me." She went on, "I have a friend whose husband divorced her because of a mistress outside. He even beat his pregnant wife. She almost didn't survive." Who? How did I not know about gossip this big? I understood her anxiety then. I said solemnly, "Don't worry, honey. I'm not that kind of person. Even if we ever got divorced, I wouldn't hit you. I'm an honest man." She was silent for a few seconds, then casually changed the subject. "By the way, honey, where's your ring?" I thought about it briefly and said it was in the bedroom. "It's too tight, not very comfortable." Back then, I'd bought it just because it was expensive, without thinking at all about whether it'd be convenient for everyday wear. Willow smiled softly and suddenly took out a pair of matching gold rings. I saw them on the way and thought they looked nice, so I bought them. "We can wear these from now on." Receiving a ring from my wife, I was deeply moved. I made another promise to her, "Honey, don't worry. I swear, this lifetime, I will never keep a mistress." Willow lifted her head and kissed me. She believed me. She said, "Okay, I thought that would be the end of it. Who knew? She suddenly straddled my lap and casually turned off the light. My vision blurred. One hand hooked around my tie. The other slowly slid downward. With a gentle lift of her palm, she said in a sweet, teasing voice, "No being naughty." Willow is incredibly gifted in this area. She's always finding new ways to surprise me. That's why, even after more than 3 years of marriage, every time things head in that direction, I still look forward to it, and the results proved it was worth anticipating. My waist ached, my legs ached, my hands ached. She worked me so hard I didn't even want to think about that for an entire week. Chapter 5. The next day, Willow suddenly had to go back to her family home. She hadn't wanted to go, but her father gave her a hard order. She had to come back that day to visit the old man. So in the little time she had left, Willow kept kissing me, saying she'd come back immediately. To be honest, and this might sound ungrateful, I felt a little giddy inside. With her gone, I actually felt a sense of freedom. I could finally go out at night. Ever since marrying Willow, whenever I went to a bar, I either had to bring her along or keep voice chat on the entire time. I dropped a message in the group chat. "Bar tonight, my treat." At first, I thought the guys were just pretending to decline. Hard pass. Last time we ordered a bunch of young models and didn't even get to hold hands before your wife reported the entire bar. It's still shut down for rectification. Haha. My first time ever at a bar, and I wasn't drinking alcohol, I was drinking milk. All thanks to your wife. People still laugh and ask if I was sitting at the kids' table. You sure your wife won't send her bodyguards to clear the place? Scary as hell. I pour you a drink and they run off to snitch to Willow. It was obvious, they were all scared to hang out with me. To make it up to them, I bought everyone a carton of cigarettes. I told them Willow had gone back to her parents' place, absolutely nothing to worry about. The guys instantly came back to life. By 10 that night, glasses were clinking everywhere. I spent a huge amount of money. When I went to pay and pulled out my card, it suddenly hit me. Every time this card gets used, Willow gets a text alert. Just half an hour earlier, I'd told her I was sleepy and had gone to bed. I was screwed. I dug around in my wallet and found an old card. It was one I jointly opened with my ex-wife back when we were still married. I'd almost forgotten about it. There was over $1 million in it, put in by both of us. But if my ex-wife saw the spending record, so what if she did? We're divorced anyway. I don't care. In a few swipes, over $1 million was gone. I saw my ex-wife's message when I went to the restroom. She'd sent a single question mark. Drunk, I replied. What? Money I spent buying formula for our son. My ex-wife's last name is Kim, Sophia Kim. Her figure and looks are flawless. Back then, I thought I'd hit the jackpot marrying a woman like that. Turns out, a marriage can't be judged on that alone. The reason we still had each other on WeChat was because of an agreement. Every once in a while, I had to send her videos and photos of our son. But another condition was that I wasn't allowed to tell our son who his biological mother was. Ridiculous. A woman who doesn't want her own child, yet still pretends to care. Willow knew about this too, which is why the chats she checked most often on my phone were the ones between Sophia and me. Sometimes even an accidentally sent sticker would make her suspicious for half the day. While I was silently roasting my ex-wife in my head, she started throwing shade at me too. She said, "Sorry, I have eyes. What kind of baby formula needs to be bought at a bar? Looks like you've turned into a henpecked husband, sneaking around spending your little stash. I told you, young ones don't know how to care for people like older ones do. You even snapped at me back then. George, seeing how far you've fallen now, I can finally relax. Since when did she get such a sharp mouth?" Sophia used to be cold and reserved. She even came to my wedding, face icy as she said, "Congratulations on your marriage," though she misspoke and said, "Congratulations on your new love," instead. Could it be she'd been dumped? I'd heard from my dad that Sophia's mother had tried to set her up on blind dates. She'd gone in saying she couldn't forget her ex-husband, that she was divorced with a child and would never have another kid. She scared the guy off and ruined her own reputation. Gotta admit, impressive tactics. At that moment, I felt like it'd be a waste not to mock her. So I replied, "You care about me more than my wife does. Don't tell me you still like me." "No way. No way." I'm dying laughing. "Being older and you're proud of it now. If you're such a catch, why are you still single? If you ask me, don't set your standards so high at your age. Why not just go hang out at the public square? Plenty of old men there." I deliberately exaggerated it. Sophia took a full 3 minutes before replying. "One word at a time. Shut up. And that's a joint account. Pay the money back." I blocked her. Chapter 6. How can a drinking table be complete without truth or dare? My luck was the worst. I got picked several times, but I could handle it. When I chose truth, every one of them eagerly pressed me, between my ex and my current wife, who was my true love. I thought about it seriously. My ex. Before I even met Sophia on that blind date, I'd seen her photo. I didn't dare tell anyone. But I fell in love with her at first sight just from that picture. Then they asked who the love of my heart was. I said, my current wife. Willow fulfilled every fantasy I had about a woman. She treated me so well that I sometimes questioned myself, what on earth about me made her like me this much? I could never figure it out. I'd pretty much poured out all my inner thoughts. So I chose dare next. Send my wife a confession message. Something simple. I didn't copy-paste anything from the internet. Every word was typed straight from the heart. I almost moved myself to tears. Willow called immediately. I jumped up in a panic, looking for somewhere quiet. The guys understood instantly and had the manager tell the DJ to cut the music. This wasn't a joke. Hello, honey. Willow responded softly. She asked. You're not at home. Damn it. A woman's intuition is terrifyingly accurate. Guiltily, I said yes. I said. Our son insisted on KFC. He wouldn't stop crying otherwise. No choice. I was already in bed, but I had to come out to buy it. At 2 years old, kids are at the perfect age to take the blame. Willow paused for a few seconds before saying, then wear more clothes and come home early. In my naivete, I didn't hear anything strange in that line. I replied, got it. Before hanging up, she responded to my confession message. I love you too. Sometimes I can't help but think, thank God Willow is so devoted to me. If she were a player, wouldn't I be toyed with completely? Chapter 7. Willow's return was delayed by 1 day. She apologized to me over the phone. She said, I'm sorry, honey. I'll come back as soon as I can. It didn't really affect me at all, but since my wife put it that way, I naturally went along with it. I said, then it's a deal. The moment I mentioned going to eat KFC, my son, who had been lying in bed whining about how uncomfortable he felt and refusing to move, immediately sprang up. I'm all better now, Dad. Heh, little brat. I noticed that the comic book he'd hidden under the covers seemed to have a notebook tucked inside. It looked familiar. I asked, where did you get this? My son scratched his head and thought for a moment. In the study. It was piled together with my comics. I remembered, it was the thing Willow had sneakily hidden that night. My instincts told me there was gossip to be unearthed. I sent my son away and quietly took it back to the bedroom to look at it myself. Before opening it, I mentally prepared myself. What I was doing wasn't right, but I told myself it was in case my wife was cheating, so I could cut my losses in time. Not recommended behavior. The notebook was filled with Willow's fragmented diary entries. The timing was uncanny. It started from the year we first met. It read, I lost a game and had to stand on the street and confess to a man wearing the same color clothes as me. Luckily, I was wearing a bright red dress, and there were no men dressed like that. I was calculating the time, and soon I saw a fellow countryman whose luggage had been stolen. He was frantic. I wanted to leave, but he was so handsome, and most importantly, he was wearing red boxer shorts. Same color as me. So that was how Willow and I began. I kept flipping to the next page. It said, when I found out George was married, I didn't feel much, but my best friend said that after I got drunk, I ran onto a bridge saying I wanted to die for love. They loved joking around. I didn't believe a single word. I heard they were getting divorced. The next day, my friend said I got drunk again and knelt on the bridge praying to God. This time they recorded it. I started doubting myself and explained that it was my second personality coming out. Told them not to believe it. I never imagined Willow had a side like this. No wonder every time I asked her when she started liking me, she couldn't give an answer. Her entries were written on a whim, sometimes one a day, sometimes once a week. After that, it was all mundane rambling. She even wrote about birds pooping on cars, very much in line with my impression of her, childish. Until I saw this. She had written about hiring people to deliberately intercept Sophia's car, staging a robbery to steal Sophia's documents, and about the hackers who infiltrated the company and the scandals involving Sophia. She had arranged all of it. The diary slipped from my hands and fell to the floor, flipping open by itself to the most recent page. Absent-mindedly, I lowered my head. It read, I want to be with my husband 24 hours a day. I want to see him all the time, but I'm afraid he'll get annoyed. So I restrained myself. The rings I custom-made have tracking functions, so I can see where he is anytime, anywhere. I also customized phones and watches, and there's even one that can be implanted under the skin, but my husband isn't that easy to fool. Forget it. A Yandere. I'd thought Willow's obsession was only emotional, just moodiness at worst. I never imagined she'd done all this. She loves me now, so she treats me well, but if one day she stopped loving me, I don't even dare imagine what would happen to me. The more I think about it, the more terrifying it gets. Then my mind jolted, and I suddenly remembered our wedding. After both sides said I do, when we exchanged rings, Willow looked at me with a radiant smile and said, husband, I'll never leave you. You won't leave me either. Okay, I've even bought our burial plots and urns. I thought she was just being cute, cracking a dark joke. I even laughed along and said I'd definitely find someone to set diamonds into her urn. Holy shit. Back when I used to watch short videos, I kind of liked Yandere types, exciting, intense. I'd even joked that I wanted one, and now I'd really run into one. So why is it that when I joke about winning the lottery jackpot, that never comes true? Chapter 8. Willow came back in the evening. When she clung to me asking for kisses, I felt a bit uneasy, my whole body tensed up. I just looked things up online. They said Yanderes lock people up in basements with iron cages and ankle chains, wanting to hide you away for a lifetime. I didn't believe it. I slipped down to the basement to check for myself, and there it was. An iron cage, big enough to fit a bed. The props were already prepared. How far could she really be from locking me up? Willow is very sensitive. She noticed something was off with me. She reached out and touched my forehead first, asking, "Are you not feeling well?" I was thinking about how to reduce time spent with her. I forced an awkward laugh and said, "I want to eat the food you cook." She visibly relaxed, nodded, and said, "Okay." Willow learned to cook after going abroad, and she's actually quite good at it. I held my phone with a knot in my stomach. To be safe, I texted my buddy instead of calling. I said, "My wife is a bit, not normal." He replied, "You're only realizing this now." I asked, "You all knew. Why didn't anyone tell me? What should I do?" My buddy sounded speechless. He said, "Which part of what your wife does looks normal to you? You always seemed pretty happy. I thought you were into that type." Thinking about it now, Willow really had been off from the very beginning. Not to mention all the controlling behavior afterward, watching me constantly, getting paranoid the moment I got close to any woman, acting jumpy and suspicious all the time. I wanted to bang my head against the wall for how slow I'd been. I really couldn't resist temptation. "Beauty is a trap," I said. "I want a divorce. Do you think she'd agree?" Only then did my buddy realize how serious this was. He said, "You're serious? I think it'll be very difficult. Your wife will never agree." That was my feeling too. So what should I do? Willow called me to eat. Our son had just washed his hands and was sitting obediently at the table. He said, "Mom made lots and lots of cola chicken wings." His favorite. I stopped in my tracks, suddenly thinking of something. The housekeeper had taken the day off. Willow cooked the meal, and she washed the dishes too. I looked at her figure moving around in the kitchen and felt a bit emotional. Such a perfectly normal person, how could she be this good at pretending? That night, the activities moved to the bathroom. I was afraid Willow would notice something, so I went all out the entire time. She praised me for being amazing. Damn it, I felt great being praised. After a while, her phone was charging, and she casually picked up my phone to look something up. I didn't even have time to react. Then I saw her finger accidentally tap into my text messages. At the top of the list, a message from an unfamiliar number popped up. It read, "Is your wife at home? Want me to come over?" Bad news, it was from my buddy. Good news, the earlier messages had all been deleted. Willow's expression didn't change much, but her voice turned stiff. She asked, "Who is she?" I pretended to stay calm. "Probably spam." Then I asked, "What do you mean by that? Are you suspecting me?" I pinched the bridge of my nose. "Forget it. I don't want to argue. Let's both calm down." Willow pouted, looking wronged. "Sorry, but can you tell me who this person is? I'm really just asking." I reached out to take the phone back, but she narrowed her eyes at me and said meaningfully, "You seem very guilty. If you won't say it, then I'll check it myself." Crap, she really could check. If she saw the old chat records, I'd be finished. I made a snap decision and forcefully scooped her up, holding her firmly. "I'm not done yet. The real show is just getting started." The process was rough, but the outcome was good. I got the phone back safely. I deleted everything completely, and Willow didn't ask any further questions. Chapter 9. Run. I had to run as far away as possible. I needed outside help, so I pulled Sophia out of my blacklist. I planned to use our son as an opening, find an excuse to see her, and sent, "Our son misses you," she replied. "Call me Mom." I was speechless. She sent another message. "Andy doesn't even recognize me. How could he miss me?" Why was she being so literal? Against my conscience, I typed, "Sophia, I won't pretend anymore. I'll be honest, these past years, I've never really forgotten you." The implication was obvious. I was waiting for Sophia's reply when Willow suddenly video called me. I felt an inexplicable surge of panic. I steadied myself before answering. It wasn't anything particularly important, but Willow often called just to talk. That's why when my buddies warned me to keep an eye on her, said one day I might end up unknowingly raising someone else's kid, I never took it seriously. After finally dealing with Willow, Sophia replied. She said, "George, I won't pretend anymore either. I'll be honest, I gave birth to 2 back then. You have another son. Do you believe me?" I replied, "Unsubscribe." What nonsense. Showing up out of nowhere with a surprise kid. Did she think I was stupid? My heart was a mess in the cold wind. Whatever. First, I'd go pick up my son. After getting him in the car, I thought about just taking him and running. But then I figured Willow would probably catch up before we even boarded a plane. If she caught us on the spot, what would I even say? The next second, my son said, "Dad, that red car behind us, does Mom have one like that too?" Alarm bells went off. I looked back. Thankfully, it wasn't a familiar license plate. Wait, something was off. My phone vibrated. It was Sophia calling. I stared at the car tailing us and answered. "Hello." The woman's voice was cool and flat. "Pull over." Chapter 10. Sophia came alone. She rolled her eyes and said, "I knew you wouldn't believe me, but that's fine. Once you meet Leo, you'll know. They're twins, cut from the same mold." "All right." My son tugged at my hand and asked, "Dad, why is this auntie asking me to call her mom?" At such a young age, his worldview was being rebuilt. Sophia crouched down, her eyes reddening as she patted his head. "Because your dad and I used to be married, then we divorced. I raised your brother, and your dad raised you." A few simple sentences answered his questions. He still couldn't quite accept it. "But my mom is Willow. She's really good to me. Having her is enough." Sophia sniffed, pressed her lips together, and said nothing more. She stood up and asked me, "What do you plan to do?" I'd already made up my mind. "Leave here first, then get a divorce." She tilted her head. "Are you sure?" I hesitated, then said, "I'm sorry, I shouldn't have doubted you before." Sophia's gaze turned mocking. She said it was pointless to say that now. What was done was done. She asked, "George, do you regret it? I mean divorcing me?" I thought for a moment, then shook my head. That seemed to anger her. She turned her face away, slowly lowered her head, and said in a very small voice, "But I regret it." Despite everything, Sophia still followed me back to grab important personal belongings. We packed in a rush. Then Willow's message came in. She wrote, "Husband, I bought your favorite salmon. I'll be home soon to cook for you. Don't be mad about last night. I'll change. I promise. Love you, love you, love you." I hardened my heart and sent back, "Willow, I know everything. Let's get a divorce." Then I blocked all her contact methods and left the gold ring behind. Chapter 11. 1 week later, the two boys gradually grew closer, moving past their initial awkwardness. Sophia and I also sat down and had an open, honest conversation. It turned out that after she got pregnant back then, she was afraid both families would use it as leverage to force her to give up her career and return home. So she kept it a secret the whole time. Sophia really is different from before now. She prioritizes family and spends much more time with the children. That day, the boys asked her, "Mom, did you and Dad get remarried?" She paused while peeling fruit, calmly wiped their mouths, but didn't answer the question. We also never discussed what kind of relationship we were supposed to have. I didn't think she had that intention, and neither did I. Staying in this vague, undefined state felt just fine. The lawyer handling my divorce told me, "Ms. Lou has agreed, but she says she wants to sign the agreement in person with you." Sophia said she wanted to go with me. I thought it over carefully and agreed. After not seeing her for a week, Willow had lost a lot of weight. When I first met her, she was a bright, smiling girl. After meeting me, she became increasingly gloomy and suspicious, her thoughts turning frightening. Guilt crept in. Had I ruined her? The next second, Willow suddenly knelt down, choking back sobs. She said, "I'm sorry. I shouldn't have done those things. Can you forgive me?" I panicked and knelt down too. "Don't do this. And the one you really owe an apology to is Sophia." Willow only heard the first part. She grabbed my sleeve, eyes burning. "What about you? Have you forgiven me?" "I'm soft-hearted." I nodded. She blinked at me, helped me up, and didn't let go of my hand. "Then we're not getting divorced." "Huh? That's not right, girl." Sophia had been watching coldly the entire time. She tapped the table impatiently and said, "I don't agree." The only outsider present was the lawyer, the same one who handled our previous divorce. "Ever professional?" he asked. "Then this agreement," Willow said coolly. "Tear it up. My husband and I just had a small misunderstanding. The divorce talk was just drama." I yanked my hand free. "I'm serious." Sophia smiled. Willow told the irrelevant people to leave, saying this was a family matter. The only irrelevant person was the lawyer, me. He thought for a moment, then left the divorce agreement behind and walked out. Willow said, "Ms. Kim, you can get out too." Sophia Kim adjusted her posture. As the eldest daughter of the Kim family, her presence was imposing. "You don't get to tell me what to do." Willow tried to pull me away. I didn't move. I pinched the bridge of my nose. "Willow, I'm not joking about the divorce. We're not compatible. I'm sick of how much you control me. I'm even more sick of you hiring people to track me. Everything you've done makes me deeply uncomfortable." She froze. After a long moment, she spoke, her voice pleading. "I won't do any of that ever again. You can do whatever you want. I'll do whatever you tell me to do. Husband, anything except divorce. I'll listen to everything. I can accept anything." She truly refused to let go. Sophia sneered, "But he despises you. Can't you hear what he's saying?" "Willow, I don't want to pursue what you did to me back then. But stop clinging on. You're not worthy of him. Shut up. Willow's eyes were filled with hatred. She shouted. Sophia, if you hadn't failed to cherish him back then, I wouldn't have had the chance to take your place. You're the one who doesn't deserve him. For once, Sophia didn't refute that. She nodded calmly. That's why I regret it. I've been waiting for him all these years. Wait, no. Hold on, you're not right either. Willow accused her of having no shame. Sophia fired back that Willow was shameless too. Both made disturbingly valid points. Then the two of them started tearing into each other. I slipped away. I needed to calm down myself. I had no capacity to tell anyone else to calm down. Chapter 12. I quickly took the two boys on a trip. While the three of us were having the time of our lives, Sophia only asked for our location once, then video called the kids to remind them of a few things. Willow, on the other hand, was far more clingy. She kept apologizing nonstop. When she found out I was traveling, she paused just long enough to ask me to help her buy some souvenirs, then went right back to apologizing, saying that as long as we didn't divorce, anything was fine. I knew this couldn't go on, so I had a sudden idea and asked, "Really? I want to settle down here. They allow polygamy in this place, you know what I mean, right?" A Yandere like Willow, with her extreme possessiveness and need for control, would never agree to something like that. It'd be no different from killing her. I planned to use this to force her to back off. Sure enough, Willow went quiet. After traveling for about half a month, the moment I saw Sophia at the airport after landing, my heart finally settled. Taking care of one kid is manageable. Two absolute little demons. Every single day I was playing judge. Dad, be fair. Dad, who do you like more? Dad, he started it. I desperately needed some peace, but the moment Sophia put one hand on her hip, the two kids immediately behaved and climbed into the back seat obediently. Once she confirmed the boys couldn't see us, she threw herself into my arms and said, "Good job, husband. You worked hard." After seeing so many exotic beauties abroad, I suddenly realized Sophia had her own appeal too, fun to tease, very satisfying in her own way. My thoughts started wandering. Sophia didn't know what I was thinking. She had something on her mind as well, but didn't know how to bring it up. She said, "Forget it. You'll know when we get back." The moment we saw Willow, I understood what she meant. Sophia took the two kids to pack, leaving space for Willow and me to talk. I looked at Willow in her apron and asked, "Why are you here?" She dried her hands, walked over without saying a word, wrapped her arms around my neck, and started kissing me. The familiar feeling made me deeply nostalgic. I honestly think half the reason I didn't want to leave Willow was because of this. After a long, long time, I asked again. Her eyes were bright. She stared straight at me and said, "I've thought it through. Same answer as before, as long as we don't divorce, as long as you don't leave me, I can accept anything, no matter how many women you want. I won't interfere. Husband, I'm serious." I was stunned. I'd only said it casually. A multi-partner relationship. I had no examples around me, but very quickly, I realized the advantages. Sophia and Willow each took care of one child. How should I put it? When a kid called for mom, there would always be a mom who answered. They never lacked a mother. And then it hit me. Even if I didn't think about myself, I had to think about the boys. Their future prospects were something I wouldn't have to worry about at all. Sophia and Willow even arranged their schedules reasonably. They alternated weekly. One handled the kids at night, while the other handled something else. The only real downside was their jealousy. Openly sour, secretly scheming. I became the pillar of the household. The slightest favoritism toward one side meant I'd have no peace that day. After years of bickering like this, I finally found a balance. The two boys became much more independent and stopped relying on me for everything. Life grew so calm it was almost boring. Just as my mind started wandering, thinking about whether I should add another, Sophia bit down hard on my shoulder and said, "Don't even think about it.